Emily.
No.
So we made a video.
Okay.
So we've been dressing up and stuff all day. Right, we're going to say hi to YouTube because YouTube are ready. Hi YouTube.
Hey YouTube.
We are live on YouTube and also live on Instagram. This is Safe Space Live, and we are joined by Paul. He's down here on Instagram and he's that way on YouTube.
So
we're joined by Paul.
and
Paul
this
is from Lakeside Church. He's from Limitless Youth, and here's
I'm
Tabs.
Hey
Tabs is
Tabs.
here. That's
Wow.
good. So yeah, we're gonna have a bit of a chat about grief and loss today. But also we'll do something a bit fun to start off with, because when we're chatting about real stuff like this, it doesn't have to be all like we can still have a bit of fun and spend a bit of time with each other and chat and all that. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
So
Spend a bit of time and chat.
I was telling Paul that we've been filming today
yeah.
for our Christmas production in primary schools, which means we've dressed up. So today I have been Mary,
yeah,
a wise guy, some sort of wise dude, wise Wendy. I was wise Wendy.
Yeah.
I've been two different old lady angels.
You have.
That one fitted probably quite well.
Were you Irene? No, you were Pauline.
No. I was Brenda and maybe Irene as well.
Brenda.
You look a little like a Brenda. No,
yeah, Brenda's Brenda's my name. Right, whenever I used to go to Starbucks and they asked you for your name, I'd always say Brenda because they never got my name right. But then I was once with my mother and I said my name was Brenda and she laughed really loudly and was like, "No, it's not." And I was like, "No."
Oh, you've been
I'm
unconscious.
convinced you spell your name wrong on purpose, because I don't know anyone who's ever spelt the name Paul wrong. But when I went into Starbucks, they didn't spell it P-A-U-L, they spelled it P-U-A-L. Honestly.
Pual.
Pual.
Either they have trouble with spelling, which some people do, to be fair, or sometimes they do it just so you'll post a picture on social media.
Yeah.
So you post a picture on social media, and then everyone will go, "Oh, I've had Starbucks." Maybe that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. And then you go, "Oh, now I fancy a coffee." But
Yes.
I never do that, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't do that earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that my one?
You didn't bring your one back from the office.
Okay.
I didn't have it. I was carrying 3 cups. Couldn't carry anymore.
Wow.
I can't believe you just left Tabs.
Should we start off with a bit of a challenge for Paul?
Bit of a challenge for Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, let's have a challenge.
Okay.
So, today we are joined by Paul, as you can see.
Everyone on YouTube that missed us introducing Paul before we went live, this is Paul.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is Paul from Limitless Youth in Southport, and you can ask him any questions you want.
Yeah.
And so I thought, seeing as we've got Paul today and Emily tomorrow and Connor on Friday. Hi, Elliot. I thought maybe we should do a challenge between all of them.
Yeah. Elliot says thank you very much for the Cocoa
No
Pops.
pressure.
Yeah, we delivered some Cocoa Pops to Elliot as a prize for something last week.
True.
Very much appreciated, apparently.
Yeah.
Can I get some
Cocoa
Cocoa Pops?
On the bomb. What's your favourite
I wouldn't take Cocoa
cereal?
Pops. I'd probably go for like... I had to think about it for a second, but I really didn't. Honey Nut Clusters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice.
The only they're that good that they make the boxes purposely smaller, so you have to buy more.
Yeah, it's cheeky. Hi, Tom. Hi, Ruby. And Elliot said thank you for the first class stamp.
Yeah.
So Elliot wrote a letter, a postcard to Theresa May and wanted to send it to her. So we enabled that to happen.
Yeah, got that.
Why Theresa May?
Don't ask. It's a long conversation.
I mean, it was meant to be a postcard to yourself or something, wasn't it?
It was a friend.
Oh, a friend.
So
friend.
maybe he's friends with Theresa May. Right. Okay. So the challenge is.
Probably.
Let's get back to it. The challenge is. I am going to give you. So I'm going to give you you can have my phone, and I'd like you to find a timer.
Okay.
I'm going to give you. Should we give him 30 seconds or a minute to answer as many questions as possible?
Oh, a minute.
Right. You've got a minute to answer as many questions as you
about?
can about different things, random topics.
Okay.
And we'll count how many you get right and see how it compares to Emily and Connor this week.
It's like the chase.
Maybe we should send one of you a prize.
Okay.
That's a good idea, isn't it?
If Emily wins, that's a lot easier.
That is easy. She lives here.
No,
There's going to be some cheating going on now. I feel
Oh,
already.
Sam says, go on, you've got this.
Okay.
You've got this.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Sam.
The routine. Okay, we're ready.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go!
What is the number of players in an ice hockey team?
6.
Correct. Which is the oldest tennis tournament in the world?
Wimbledon.
Correct. What is the favourite food of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Pizza.
Correct. Abu in the Disney movie Aladdin is which animal?
A monkey.
Correct. What type of fish is Nemo?
A clownfish.
Correct. What is the name of the lead pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Correct. Complete the song title from the 2014 Lego movie Everything Is...
Bricks.
Incorrect. It is Awesome. In a Dr. Seuss book, who steals Christmas?
The Grinch.
Correct. What is Lancashire known for? Which flower?
The Rose.
Specifically,
White Rose.
yes,
Red
correct.
Rose.
From which flower is the vanilla flavour derived?
Time's out.
Oh, he's done. He's done. Right,
Was it vanilla?
Was that 8?
I started, so I'll finish. What?
I think that was that 8.
I wasn't counting.
I was trying to count, but while at the same time trying to read the questions, I think it was 8. I'm gonna
Wait,
tell
you
you
got
now.
eight.
Yes,
I
yes. I'll
can do
take
now.
8.
1,
Okay,
2, 3,
three,
4. No, you didn't get that one
four.
right. No,
Oh.
wait. 4, 5,
Yes.
6,
6,
7,
7,
8,
8.
9.
Yes!
Way! Okay, so Paul's got 9 correct in a minute.
More than Hetty guessed. How
Never
rude.
phone back.
Can you get your phone back?
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. There she
feel
went
Well,
back.
so
proud.
I thought you got
Nine.
8, but you got 9.
I
feel like that's
believed in
pretty
you.
good going.
It's not bad. That it's not bad.
Mm.
I feel
pretty
that's
good.
The
How
chase.
do you feel like Emily and Connor will compare to your score?
I hope not as good because I'm way too competitive and I'll be upset if they beat me.
Yeah.
But I think on Mastermind they get a minute, don't they? And you did.
They get 2 minutes on Mastermind.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh.
Ah.
Yeah, but that's a specialist subject, isn't it?
Well, no.
On
Oh, is that
both,
for all of
on a
them?
general
Oh.
knowledge and a specialist. Not that I watch a lot of quiz programs.
Oh no,
Obviously.
no.
Yeah, 1 minute is it's quite. That's not a long time, is it? Oh well, we've done it now, so the others get a minute as well.
So in theory then, 18 would be your Mastermind score. That's quite good.
Which is incredible.
It is really good.
Wow,
Yeah.
Paul.
Like,
wow.
how often do you see anyone on the chase get 9?
Yeah, but
Exactly, yeah.
were the questions as hard as you would find on the chase?
Maybe not.
No, probably
I also
not.
think that you present it and did it a little bit quicker than
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
whatever his name is.
You would have got, Sam says you would have got £9,000 on the chase.
Wow.
Like, but what would be my higher offer? Like, you'd have 9,000. You might go like low and like offer 1 or 2. But what would be the high offer? Sam, what would be the high offer?
Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of budget.
Nah, that's...
So if we did, we'd do these
Yeah.
big elaborate game shows,
Yeah.
but we don't. So anyway, back to the point. So we've been doing, you might have seen on our YouTube channel on Safe Space Southport, we've been doing some real talk sessions where we kind of think a bit more deeply about specific topics that might cause people to think, oh, actually, yeah, that relates to me, different things that happen in our lives. And we try and get people to share, people that are a bit older than the young people that are here.
Only a
to
little bit
share-
older,
No
yeah.
offence, Paul, no offence.
Yeah,
To share a bit of stuff that's happened in their lives and how we can kind of pass on some of that and so we can ask questions. So Paul's going to share a little bit of some of the grief that's happened in his life, some of the loss that he's been through, and so that you can ask questions if you want to. It could be about that. If you don't have questions about that, that's fine. Ask some questions about something else. Let's get to know Paul. But if you do have questions on that, that would be really helpful. So, Paul, if you don't mind, could you share just a little bit about like a bit of your journey in life and how loss and grief has featured?
Yeah, I think like if we think about recently, like lockdown's been a bit of a crazy time. I know probably people have lost people, and I remember when I was 21, so I was in my last year of uni, and my dad became really ill. And it was during my final year of uni that my dad entered into hospital in January or February. and he was in there, and we didn't know what was going on. To give you a little bit more background, my dad used to be in a wheelchair, and as he was in a wheelchair, like sometimes being in and out of hospital, but this felt different. I think sometimes you have these experiences in life where something just feels a little bit different, and you can't put your finger on it. And as he went in, we didn't know what was happening, we didn't know what was going on, and he was in for 11 weeks without an answer.
Oh wow.
And nobody could tell us what was going on with my dad. And at the time, I was studying biochemistry, which, for those of you who enjoy science, I'm sure you're nodding along thinking that sounds great. Well, for me, it meant that one of the things that I was studying a lot around was cancer. And as I'm coming up to my final end of year exams, I'm then having to go around and study more on cancer, which the scientific terms can be like things like oncogenes, which is what I remember having to sit down and have a 4-hour exam on this particular topic. And just a week or two before we had a meeting with the doctor who was at my dad's bedside, who then went on to say that my dad had cancer and he needed an operation. So they went through and they were trying to do this operation on my dad, but actually it didn't help. And in this moment where we thought it was really hopeful, it kind of came back. And after the operation, 3 days later, my dad passed away just before I actually finished university. And I think as I was going through that, and you're kind of working things out, I just finished the last of my exams. And one of the big things I remember my dad saying to me was, just make sure that you can go to your graduation and your mum can go, because you know how much it would mean to your mum. And I mentioned that because only the day of my graduation was actually the day of my dad's funeral. And it was this moment where it was sad and it was hard and it was difficult. And on a day in which you're meant to be celebrating all the achievements you have done, you're actually sitting there and you're grieving and you're missing the person who's actually brought you up and who you love. I won't finish on a really sad note on that kind of part of the story, as much as that's difficult, because I did go on to do another part of a degree, and my mum mentioned to me yesterday that it was 5 years, so you can start working out how old I am. 5 years since she went and saw me graduate as I graduated as a teacher, so there is a positive in that.
Yeah, like I've experienced kind of similar things. So I was a similar age to you when my stepdad died, and that was kind of similar because he was ill quite a bit, and he had a kidney transplant. So the first time my mum met him, the week later he wasn't there. When she usually saw him. She was a teacher in school, and so she saw him in a school, and then he wasn't there the week after, and he'd gone for a kidney transplant. So he had lots of struggles over the years with his health, but there was this one where it did just feel a bit different, and he had to go in an ambulance, and it was a lot different to normal. And you kind of remember that feeling of like they'd gone to the hospital and I was then on my own at home, like what is going on? And yeah, it's a difficult experience no matter what goes on. It's always difficult. So like when I was 5, my dad died, but I didn't really remember much because I was 5, you know. So it can be difficult. So please do pop questions in the chat if you've got questions about any of this stuff. You know, you might have friends that have gone through things like this, and you might want to know, how do I help my friends? You might have specific questions. Please do ask them in the chat, or anything for Paul to answer. It doesn't all have to be mega serious if you don't want to. That's not a problem. So what I find is, hi Tegan, is that so as a Christian, I find that people often say like, oh, why did God let this happen to me? Like, did you ever have that kind of question? And you know, what did you think about all that?
Yeah, actually, it's strange because going back to it, I remember where it was kind of a funny thing in the sense that when my dad, like I said, he was in for 11 weeks. So there was some days where like there just didn't seem to be any change. I remember the day in which I got told like, oh, you really need, like things are really getting bad. I was actually at a Christian youth weekend away. I was helping out, and And it was during this weekend that I was like, I had a conversation with my mum and I had a conversation with my dad, and they were like, yeah, go, like, we've had the operation. And we were positive. And I think when we went, and I remember being there on the Sunday, and I just got a phone call from my mum, and she didn't say anything. She just said, you need to come home. And I was like, oh, and I just remember my best friend, his dad, was there, and I just broke down into tears next to him. And I can't say at that moment I had these thoughts going, God, what are you doing? But it did come several hours later when I got into the hospital, and you just feel so worn out, even though you haven't done anything. And I remember coming home because my mum said, there's nothing we can do. We'll phone you if there's anything that comes up, but just when you just go home and get some rest. And I remember curling up on my bed and just crying and being like, what's going on? I don't get it. And I think I didn't blame God, but I do sit there and go, because being a Christian, I believe God can heal. And I think there was a struggle more that, why aren't you healing right now, rather than, why have you done this? I don't think the why have you done this question came into play. And I think lots of people do struggle, don't they, with that understanding of, oh, does God cause suffering? And my understanding of God is that God's love, and he doesn't cause suffering.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that suffering's not in the world. I think there's a sense in where actually there are lots of things in the world that God never intended for it to be.
Yeah.
And life is like, there's a sense in where life in itself isn't actually now what it was intended to be because of what we can do to it. And I think there's that sense in where, do you know what, I'm not blaming God, but I am going to sit there and I'm going to be frustrated and I'm going to be angry and I'm going to be upset about this. Yeah. But I know and I believe that God's big enough to take that and go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm here and I'm with you. And I think I shared something recently on our YouTube and talking about how, do you know what? God came into our world as Jesus, and in living that life, it meant that he can empathize. And I think sometimes when people are going through difficult times of loss, it's quite hard to empathize because maybe you've never experienced that. But the most powerful thing, I remember being at an event and I was sitting on the floor, and the most powerful thing I remember is one of my friends coming over and he didn't say anything. He just put his arm around me and I just cried. I was upset, and I think it's okay to be upset. And as I was crying, he didn't try and sort it out for me, but he was just there. And I think that's sometimes a powerful thing when people are going through grief and loss. It's not about the words because you can't fix anything, but it's about knowing that you're present.
Yeah, so we've got a question related to that, so I'll pop it up. What would be a helpful way in supporting someone who's lost someone? So you've just said one thing we can do is just be there. Like, you don't have to have the right words to say, just be there. Is there anything else you'd say on that or around that question maybe?
I think that would be my main one. I think there's a sense in where don't feel like you've got to sort everything. Like, I think sometimes we think that we've got to have the right answers, and it's not about having the right answers, it's just about being present. So do you know what, if it's one of your friends and you're used to playing Xbox together and used to playing FIFA, like just play FIFA. Like, I remember one of my friends a couple of days after just went, hey, let's just go for a walk, and we just talked about things that were normal everyday things, but he also then, it just gave me an opportunity to be like, this proper sucks. And just giving people a space to be upset. I think so often we live a life in which we want to put our rose tinted glasses on all the time. And I think just accepting, you know what, life can be pretty rubbish at times. Let's accept that, and let's just kind of lean into it and just talk about it.
Yeah, it's okay to be upset. It's okay for life to be difficult. It's okay to talk to your friends about that.
I think sometimes people feel like they're being a burden on someone else when they're like seeking help from someone or wanting that support. But actually, your friends value you enough that they want to give you that. And I find that often when I've not reached out to someone, they've come back feeling put out that I didn't, and that I didn't think to go to them. And so often that, whatever the barrier is, whether it's shame or I don't know, sometimes you really need to sort of break through that, because actually the the people around you love you and care for you enough that they want to support you, and if they weren't given that opportunity, they'd probably feel quite put out about it.
I really like what you said about how if you usually play Xbox with someone, like whatever it is that your friend enjoys doing, do that with them. Like, let them do something that feels like some sort of normality, something that helps them feel like you're kind of still there for you, that kind of stuff. So we've had a question. So it's about like, how do you cope? So our rooted question today is actually similar. It says, what do you do when things get tough? So how do you think somebody can cope if they're struggling with grief and loss? What can they do for themselves? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's finding the people who you can have a conversation with. I think becomes really helpful. Like, who are the friends whom you trust, who you can go, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm feeling, and being okay with it. I guess as a Christian, I know one of the things that I do is I pray about things, and I think so often we assume and we think that prayers have got to be, oh, dear Lord, this, and this, and people rattle off a list. But I think sometimes we look in the Bible, sometimes it talks about how people were angry and they were shouting at God, and I think in those moments, I remember when I talked about my dad, where I was curled up in a ball, and I was angry, I was shouting, I was frustrated, I was annoyed, and I think sometimes we can take our them times and speak them out and speak them to God and do those things. I think also, this might sound like a really bizarre one, but do something in which kind of releases energy. So whether that's exercise, if you go running, if you play football. I know one of the things that when I'm frustrated or annoyed, kicking a ball feels like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Or going in on a really hard tackle on somebody who you maybe only a little friends with. Like, just doing those things in which it allows you to get some of your frustration out, it allows you to get rid of some of that like anxiety of that energy. Yeah. And just makes you a bit more come home, and you can relax a little bit more. Yeah. And I think it's also not feeling, like you mentioned before, not feeling guilty about taking that time to just go, I don't understand, I don't know what's going on, and just sitting in that. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a final question that is slightly related to that. How many pairs of trainers do you have?
Good question. Like,
slightly related to exercise, although it doesn't look like you wear them.
There's quite a few here. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then there's 2 down there. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4.
12 nice pair of trainers, not just any trainers.
There's 15 behind me.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So unfortunately, we're out of time, which that's gone really fast. So Paul, can you tell us? So you're from Limitless Youth in Southport. Could you tell us just very quickly what it is that you do, Limitless Youth, and how people could connect with you, perhaps on Instagram, and tell us what your Instagram handle is?
Great. Yeah. So what we do, so we're part of a church at Lakeside, so we're the youth ministry. So we're kind of exploring what it means to know who Jesus is and discover more about him, but also taking that time to create community and friendships along the way. And in terms of getting in touch with us, I don't actually, that's a good question. I think it's at Limitless Southport, but that means there's 3 S's all together, which is the reason why I remember. So it's at Limitless Southport. If you want to connect.
It's on our story as well.
Yes, I am on your story.
So you can click that and follow them and see what Paul's up to.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Brill. Well, we will see Paul at some other point. Thank you very much. And thank you for being honest and open and vulnerable, because it's not easy to do that, especially when you are on the internet. And it's live, you can't do a retake or anything. So thank you so much for that. And we'll be joined tomorrow with Emily, who's going to share a little bit about self-harm. And then on Friday, Connor's going to share a bit about cancer specifically, and serious illnesses that people go through, and what we can do to support ourselves and other people. So we will see you tomorrow for that with Emily, and we'll see you soon, Paul.
Yeah, see you soon.
See you soon, Paul. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye everyone.